Good afternoon and welcome to the third session of National Conference of Vice Chancellors 25. The theme for this session is Institutionalizing Humane Education. In today's rapidly evolving academic and professional landscape, the role of education extends far beyond disseminating of knowledge. Institutions must foster the development of ethical consciousness, emotional intelligence, and sense of social responsibility. Humane education refers to a value-driven approach that prioritizes qualities such as empathy, compassion, integrity, and service-mindedness to create responsible citizens and future leaders. Institutionalizing such an approach requires conscious and collective efforts, primarily from faculty members and academic leadership, who serves as role models in shaping institutional culture. Their actions, decisions, and daily conduct hold the power to inspire and embody these values. Across India, both public and private institutions have demonstrated that it is indeed possible to integrate humanists into academic curriculum. Through initiatives such as rural internship, community engagement programs, reflective learning models, and social service components, students are exposed to real-world challenges that cultivate empathy and sense of responsibility. These practices serve as a powerful pedagogical tool, complementing academic instructions with experiential understanding. While the merits of this approach are evident, the journey is not without its struggle. Issues such as institutional inertia, scalability concerns, and resource alignment continue to impede widespread adoption. However, with visionary leadership, thoughtful planning, and unwavering commitment, these challenges can be effectively addressed. As we proceed with today's session, we are honored to be joined by distinguished speakers who have contributed significantly in the advancement of value-based education. Topic for this session is Institutionalizing Humane Education, aiming to explore the essential questions of how higher education institutions can integrate human values, ethical practices, and compassionate engagement in their academic frameworks and daily functioning. We are privileged to have with us an esteemed panel of speakers. Professor G.T. Sitaraman, Chairman of All India Council for Technical Education, whose leadership has played a pivotal role in policy making and curriculum development for engineering institutions across the country, with a growing emphasis on holistic education. Professor Prem Narayan Singh, Director of Inter-University Centers for Teaching Education at Banaras Hindu University. He has extensively worked on teachers' education reforms and integration of Indian knowledge system into modern pedagogy. Professor Rahul Garg from National Research Center of Value-Based Education in Engineering, IIT Delhi. He has been at the forefront of designing and implementing frameworks that infuse ethics and human values into technological education. We are honored to have with us Professor Shashidhar Prasad, who is on the Board of Governors, Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence, is also the former Vice Chancellor of University of Mysore and Sri Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning. He is a former member of National Knowledge Commission, Government Council, Finance Committee, and Court of Indian Institute of Sciences. Sir will be the session chair moderating the session. With that, I invite Professor Shashidhar Prasad, sir, to kindly take the session forward.
Om Shri Sai Ram. I offer my loving salutations to my Divine Master. Esteemed guests on the dais, Professor Sitaram, Professor Garg, Professor Singh, and all the colleagues, vice chancellors, academicians. I just was trying to recollect about having experienced two different universities. One, the University of Mysore, which is a public funded university, that is government university, and other is Sri Sathya Sai University of Human Learning, which was founded by Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Also had occasion to visit number of universities during my tenure. And what I noticed was that there was a vast difference between the University of Mysore and the Sathya Sai University of Higher Learning. The reason is I just had some feedback from professors in IISc Bangalore, my friends. Some of our students from Sathya Sai University of Higher Learning, they had joined for research under Professor Balram and others. And they were asking me about how is it that they are trained there, because they were very, their simplicity, humility, respect for elders, so many things. They were attributing all these qualities for our students from Sathya Sai University of Higher Learning. And also, other important thing I noticed during my tenure as Vice Chancellor, Ratan Tata had a number of people in his office working who were all trained MBA from Sathya Sai University Higher Learning. Incidentally, he was wondering how these children are so humble, and he was really astonished their qualities. Really, you will not believe that he wanted to be Sathya Sai Baba in Pune, waiting for 2 hours. That implies the quality of students who had come out of Sathya Sai University of Higher Learning is different from the quality of students which came out from Mysore University. How is it that is possible? Because as the title of this session is Institutionalizing Human Education. I think human education cannot be just driven into children's minds just in a paper, probably a paper or some course. I think probably it has to evolve over years now. And that is what has happened in Sathya Sai University of Higher Learning. Now, the most important thing that happened there in Sathya Sai University of Higher Learning is the students, I think this can be brought out only, in my opinion, provided it is a residential university. I don't think otherwise it is possible to bring in these values totally. So, because Sathya Sai University has Higher Learning as well as Sathya Sai University of Human Excellence, the residential universities where students stay, and also most of the faculty used to be, 90% of the faculty used to stay in the hostels. So they used to be the guides to the children. They used to walk the talk with the children. And therefore, from morning till evening, students were engaged throughout. See, the morning session, they would start at 5 o'clock in the morning there in Puttaparthi, and end up at 9:30, they would switch off the lights. So they used to be engaged. Morning, they used to go for running, jogging, breakfast, it was a highly disciplined life they used to, because students were not allowed to think anything other than their routine. So that is one, and the teachers were there to guide them. So as throughout the day, they was, for example, in the morning, they used to come attend the bhajans, where Sathya Sai Baba used to come. Even later, children used to come there regularly for 45 minutes. They used to attend the bhajan and satsang. Again, in the evening for 45 minutes, they used to be there. It was mandatory. The other thing is that even after he left his physical form as a Vice Chancellor, I used to go and sit there morning, and I used to be there, present there. So that was necessary, because if I had not done that, I think children and faculty would not have been there. So therefore, I had to, because I was connected to Swami so much, I had to go and sit there morning and evening. Therefore, faculty and students would come there. So therefore, this human education values can be inculcated, provided we walk the talk, we are there with the children. That is not happening. As a Vice Chancellor of the University of Mysore, I think many principals did not know who is the Vice Chancellor. Maybe faculty did not know who is the Vice Chancellor. Therefore, there is no connection between the Vice Chancellor and the staff and the other colleges and the children. Therefore, that is where the lacuna is there in most of the universities. Another problem is there with the private universities and public universities. Public universities nowadays, they are not funded properly. Not only that, political and bureaucratic interference is there through day in and day out. So that is what I notice now. Probably it was not there when I was the Vice Chancellor. Other thing is, private universities, they have their own problems here. They have to get the children, they have to collect the fees. If they try to say that we have to follow some human values, education, they may resist actually. And the parents also may resist. So that is one thing. The other thing is, the children here, day in and day out, they are involved in some other activity. For example, in all our schools there, run by Sadhguru, children will have to be in the kitchen in rotation. Some children in the kitchen, some will be doing some other work, carpentry work, some electrical work. They maintain all those things there, day in day. So therefore, their trained skills are given along with the regular education. Now, I can give an example. What happened in one of the campuses, the cook did not turn up. Can you believe? One of our students only cooked for 100 children, he cooked food actually. So therefore, this is the way the children are trained there in the organization. And not only that, for example, most of you are aware now, the children who are taking care of guest managers, you'll be surprised to know they are all students actually. They are not faculty. The guest managers, they are given training like that. The guest managers also our students. Not only that, other thing this he has created, Sadhguru has created now, is after the degree, our students are given internship actually. We have got a number of schools, about 35 schools are there run by Sadhguru. These graduates are given internship in the school, and what they do, they will be with the children, train them, whatever how they are being trained here, they are going to train the children, and they come back. During the training period, you will be surprised to know, as an internee, a student will get 10,000 rupees per month for maintenance for himself and his family. So again, after 2 years, he has to come back and join the PG department. So therefore, he will complete his postgraduate department. Again, he has to go back as internee for another 1 or 2 years. Again, he is paid salary. So this is how the system works here. It is, I think, a holistic education actually, where they are giving training along with, I think, they are kept busy. I think this cannot happen. Unfortunately, I don't think it can happen in any other university, because I told you that this is a residential university. It is possible to bring it. Therefore, I think these are some of the things that really happen. When you say institutionalizing the human education, this is the way that is being done in Satya Sai University here, and also in the Satya Sai University. One of our friends, I think, Professor just asked about, is there any university which is a role model? I can swear by that Satya Sai University Human Excellence, as well as Satya Sai University Higher Learning, they are really the role models, because I've seen all the universities. I think that that is possible because the weight. Sam Pitroda, I requested him to come to Puttaparthi once actually. He came there because I was with him in the Knowledge Commission. He came there and asked him, he stayed for 2 days. Then after, in the convocation address, he made a remark. I want 100 universities to be started like this in the country. Then I told him, Sam, it cannot happen because there is an anchor here. So in Satya Sai University of Higher Learning, anchor was Bhagwan Satya Sai Baba. Here it works because the anchor is Sadhguru Madhusudan Sai. I think anchor is very important in these systems. I think, do we have anchor in every university? That is the problem. Probably the Vice Chancellor could be the anchors, unfortunately, in the political system. What is happening? My own students actually who become Vice Chancellors, one of them paid 11 crores to become the Vice Chancellor. He revealed with me. So therefore, what can he do when he goes back? Because he cannot be a role model. So I think that is a trouble which we have got in the system. The bureaucracy and political system has really destroyed the public universities. Private universities, as I told you, they have their own problem. Therefore, when you say institutionalizing the system, we have to smaller universities, cluster of small universities where the day in and day out, we can provide values education and human education. So, and again, another thing that I learned in Puttaparthi with Baba is that he used to say, don't punish, but you always try to transform them. The transformation was the major thing that he used to suggest. I remember two examples there. See, girls' campus was different from the boys' campus. So, but on one occasion, they used to meet for 10 days during the Dasara holidays, when they used to go for Gram Seva. They used to go to the villages for 15 days to do Gram Seva, to learn the life in the villages. So, one boy and girl, they had taken a photograph together, and our trustees wanted them to be sent out. But I told no, nothing doing. I was the Vice Chancellor at the time. I told we cannot dispose of like that, because Baba has asked transformation. So I just advised the girl, and I sent him to Anantapur University because my friend was there. She got first rank there. After she left this place, she got first rank. She did MBA. She is in a very good job now. In the same way, when Shah was there, he had some people had accused about him. Actually, I just called him to stay aloof in the hostel. He did his PhD. Today is in a very big position in Delhi, actually, in government. So therefore, that is what happens when you have got a human value education. Again, we can try to transform children as and when things occur like that. Therefore, I think this is the experience I have. Probably, I think as Vice Chancellor, my academic colleagues, I don't know how far our hands are tied. I don't know how best one can do. That is what you think here, because you may not be able to achieve what is going to happen here because of, I told you about the anchor. But we should strive forward to see how it can be done. as far as possible in our situation, because our situation in the university system is, I know, is very bad, because that is what I feel. I think with these remarks, I leave it, I ask my friends to now react on this and give their opinion, and then we'll leave for discussion.
So, Ellarigo Namaskara. Very good afternoon to all of you, distinguished guests on the dais, and very distinguished vice chancellors from different universities, friends. I endorse Professor Shashidhar Prasad's view on core values, whether it is integrity, respect, responsibility, compassion, empathy, teamwork, collaboration, environmental awareness, and also to be a global citizen. These are some of the values we need to inculcate. I think none of us will disagree. But how we do this, at what age we will do to the children. See, here, Satya Sai University also takes students from very early ages, 6th standard, very early ages. So they can be molded very easily because they are there residential completely. So what are our challenges as a universities, because we need to talk about, and what kind of programs we can do at a scale. See, problem is, scale is an India problem. It is not just about poor quality universities. Why the universities have become poor quality is also there is a problem of scaling. Because today we have in higher education about 4.3 crore children with 29% GER. Okay, this is 80% of them. 80% of 4.3 crores are in private, state and public universities. That means central government CUs, CFTIs only hold 18 to 19% of the students. 82% is with the private, state and public. How many? All of you know that 1,200 universities we have, 45,000 colleges getting affiliated to some of these universities. And we also have to look at how did we grow from since independence. We talk, our time was better. But believe me, I completely disagree with Prasad on that point. There was no golden time is better. Today is the golden time. According to me, we are in Amrit Kal. Whether in the use of technology, whether in the advancement of science and technology in India, or even the people successful and even including earning powers are better today. I think human civilization, not only in our country, in any country has not seen such a development and such a progress. This we need to accept it first. We can't be saying our time was good. When I was studying, I had a compulsory elective. There was no teacher, they're not even dusted. Forget about value education. I'm sorry, Government BDT College of Engineering. This is a Government BDT College of Engineering, only government college. They were unable to even dust the desks. We had not seen the paint wash, that is whitewash for the building for years. But today, things have changed, ladies and gentlemen. Our universities, private universities, I go to many colleges, mind-boggling changes on skilling, upskilling, training. This is which we have never seen in the history of India. So let's look at it. When did we grew this GER? Professor will agree with me. When we got independence in 1947, we had 1% gross enrollment ratio in higher education. So that means we proved Lord Macaulay was right. He said Indians are no good for higher education. We proved it because only 1% of school outgoing students were joining universities. Very few universities. We can even count by fingers. And by 2001, I will not even talk about that 50 years. 2001, we reached to 11%. Please believe me, that is also very, very low to the world standard. Today, in 2025, we are at the level of 29%. This is as per the data of 23-24 ICE data. Okay? So, that means we grew in last 25 years. Let us forget about the first 55 years. Last 25 years, we grew 18% in 25 years. But all of us know about national education policy, we strongly believe in, which has created really a change in the way we start talking about even including value education. Because flexibility of curriculum has given students to take any kind of courses. I will come to that, what kind of courses we are offering from AICTE to the students online as well as digitally. We need to use technology, ladies and gentlemen. So in 2035, all of our responsibility is to make GER 50%. Otherwise, we will be Bangladesh. Because we have so many kids who are coming to the 10th and 11th class today. 2015, we reached GER in elementary education 94%. 94% we reached in 2015. That means we never failed anybody in the class 1 to 10. All of them are now the class 10. How many? We have correct numbers today. Thanks to ABC. I think all of you have implemented ABC. Thanks to ABC. ABC, if you just Google, you will see 32.5 crore children are registered in India. 26.5 crores are in the school education. And this data is very authentic and correct because below 17, parents also have to sign. No objection. So the data is pakka. That is, there are 26.5 crore children in school education from class 1 to class 12. And then 4.3 crore children, maybe it has touched on 4.4 crore. But our goal is to become 9 crores by 2035. And another perception of many of our colleagues, I have talked to them, we have too many universities. I went to Pune, there are 30 universities, believe me, 30. But that is not enough, ladies and gentlemen. Please understand, because we are going to get another 4.5 crore children, whether we like it or not, in 10 years. We need to put them either in the skilling, upskilling, and put them into job. Because end of the day, whether we like it or not, education has become an employability source. That means a degree is given, whether we like the degree or not. I will come to that also. But it is employability is the key part. And employability, everywhere we are hearing hue and cry. But what can be done? So coming back to the value-based education, it's very critical, it's very important. How we can deliver this at scale? We need to think about. We cannot be creating universities like Satya Sai alone. We definitely need them. I'm not saying that, please, don't take me wrong. These kind of institutions are very much essential, and we should be whatever possible, maybe 100 is possible, do it 100 also. But that 100 is also not enough for our country. That's all I'm trying to say. How many universities we might require? If you don't adopt technology, we don't go to distance education, we require another 1,200 universities to accommodate 4.5 crore children. This is the real status. But thanks to technology, now let me come to AI. Today, artificial intelligence is here, ladies and gentlemen. So we need to employ that in every sector, because AI is nothing about simply artificial. It is an augmented intelligence, and it is, I even say it is a crowd intelligence. So we have to use this technology because we can deliver without a teacher today. This technology allows you to deliver courses without a teacher. So what are we doing at AICTE? Not only we completely digitize the entire value process, I think all of you know that. Our approval process is completely online, digital, and it doesn't happen in one day. We run it about 5 months, very seriously, and we check everything. And last 2.5 years, not even an iota of any negative reports have come about AICTE. So, in that process, we have also created a program, thanks to several of my colleagues from IIT Kanpur. They have created a program called Universal Human Values. This Universal Human Values, today, more than 1.5 lakh teachers have been trying to teach. Because please understand, we cannot be again, I'll repeat, Satya Sai institution where the whole residential thing cannot be done for 4.5 crore children. So we have to deliver at scale because some of the kids cannot even come out of the villages. There are 6 lakhs plus villages in our country. We need to take education to their home. Otherwise, they will not even come to. So that is why I was very happy to see Karnataka, even though it's a very initially pathetic condition, I agree. But every district there is a university created. I don't know who is the visionary. Okay? Maybe now it looks like it's very not correct, but watch my word, this will be the future. Just like in the 80s, who was the leader in technical education? Let's look at it, an analogy, only in engineering education. Because I'm chairman AICT, I should say this story. In the 80s, large number of colleges mushroomed in Karnataka. Large number. When I was a student, there were no engineering colleges, many. 2 government colleges, maybe 10, 15 the private aided institutions like BMS, JCE and NIE, something like that. Okay? But 80s, Karnataka started so many number, immediately our neighbors, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, and that time United Andhra Pradesh. Okay? Now we have Telangana as well as Andhra Pradesh. And then Kerala, Maharashtra little came later. Started so many engineering colleges, went up to 4,500 engineering colleges with an affiliation system. Okay? Large number of engineering colleges. When they mushroomed, AICT was born, 87. And I'm not saying that this is the only very good initiative. But Khanna, Professor Khanna, the first chairman, did a opening about you come, let us make a regulation, understand the curriculum, what we need to teach together. So this is what Professor S.K. Khanna did it so well. I was studying, sir. I was really impressed with his vision. And today also he is 92 years. He lives in New York. I had a word. An amazing personality. So later on, many very top educationalists of our country like Professor Natarajan from Ramegoda from Karnataka became the chairmen of AICTE. AICTE today was able to produce 3 crore engineers since 80s to now. So can you see the change now? Our engineers are there everywhere in the world. Any company you name. Now we have 3,000 global capability centers in the country. 3,000. All these are very top-notch companies which are made billions in US, Europe. They are setting up their offices here. They are not doing, this is not 80s. This is 21st century. They are doing the entire value chain process happens here, sir. It is not a back-end office. It is not a service sector. It is not a service job. This GCCs doesn't take entry-level students. They take very senior people. How many? IBM alone has 65,000 in one location in Bangalore. Engineers. So today we are able to tell, I have engineering colleges in Andaman and Nicobar, diploma colleges in Lakshadweep. That means we have made engineering education democratic. Anybody who dreams to do engineering, it is possible today. But look at the alternate of the medical education. Whenever war breaks out, we will know that our students go there also to study medicine. That is Ukraine, you saw. 4,000, 5,000 students surfaced, we have to rescue them. And then recently in Iran, 3,000 students from only Jammu Kashmir have to be rescued, who are doing medicine there. So we need to open up, because please understand, we cannot be containing, because we are the largest population of the world and the youngest population of the world. We need to educate them at scale. This is where technology is going to play a major role. Artificial intelligence, we have to use it. So today, our UHV deliver online, blended mode, physical mode, all this has to be tried, because some things what we learn when we sit like this is different. Peer learning, collaborative learning. Okay, when you sit in front of the computer, it is something technology learning, technology assisted learning, self-learning, which is very, very important. Our Gurukula systems are talked about self-learning, but we have forgotten about that. We want to only teach in the classroom. Students should read themselves, their attention span will be high. Everybody cannot do that, I understand. So that's why we have to mix these things. Blended learning, collaborative learning, hands-on learning. Skilling today has to be given emphasis. That's why AICT Idea Lab, some of you are aware of it, we have created 400 this year. So these Idea Labs will give them tools to build their products. Sir, we are the 4th largest economy, but higher education has to also reach that level, up to 50%. Otherwise, we cannot sustain the economy. So, because today knowledge is economy. So 2 block boxes we have to our university should have. One block box where you put money, get the knowledge out through research innovation. Another box, you put that knowledge, get the money back quantified. That is where I say time has come where Saraswati and Lakshmi coexist together in the university. And our people knew this. You have seen a photograph, beautiful picture of Lakshmi standing tall, where Ganesha and Saraswati sitting quietly on the sides. With these few words, I will tell you, it's a golden time, but we have a lot of tasks to be done. It is not easy. Nothing is easy. But we need to make it very flexible systems. Students should learn many multiple courses, multidisciplinary courses, different disciplines, and including universal human values. So AICTE offers a minor degree program in UHV. All of you know this. About 14 to 18 credits you can take online. They're all there already in Swayam. Swayam Plus is also coming with so many other courses. So we need to use this digital learning. Please make mandatory in your college 40% of the courses to be taught self-learning using Swayam. Then you will not have a problem of even teachers also. Don't tell me, oh, sir, teachers are not there. So because when the scale comes up, teachers will be a problem. So we have to allow 40%. Both UGC, AICTE has given permission to run these programs online, digitally, and allow them. And some courses in there you also teach. I know it cannot be, see, value-based education cannot be taught in theory classes. It has to be in practical, as he rightly said, it has to be learn integrated. I strongly believe that value-based education cannot be given even to adults. Very difficult. So it has to come from very younger age, like what Satyasai Swami has done. At the age of 6, he embraces them and makes them part of him and asks them to be simple with white clothes, serene environment, eat healthy vegetarian diet, okay, and grew. Then automatically they will be good citizens. They will be successful, and we will see more successes also, sir. I am very positive about this is a golden time. All of us will work together and make this change practical and possible, so that we also inculcate some excellent values to these young people. And still, time is not very bad. Even for value-based education, it's an excellent time. Let's work together. Thank you very much. Namaskar. Jai.
Respected chairperson of this session, Professor Sassidhar Prasad ji, panelist Professor T.G. Sitaram ji and Rahul Garg ji, and all the dignitaries present in the hall. Today, I am feeling very grateful. Not only feeling, but I express my gratitude to be a part of this program. This session, Institutionalizing Human Education, they have focus points, 5 focus points. The first focus point is, what role do faculty members and university leadership play in modeling and inspiring humanness in students? I have 2 examples of my own life. You might be know, in 1985, the year was celebrated as Youth Year, Antarashtriya Yuva Varsh. I was a student, and in my university, in Sampurnanand Sanskrit University, Varanasi, there was a program. The topic was विश्वविद्यालय का उत्थान और युवकों की भूमिका, development of university and role of students. I observed students were blaming to teachers and the system. Oh, no, please. And Teachers were blaming the students, also the system. मैंने अपना पीपीटी रोक दिया है क्योंकि सवेरे से शाम अब तक जो मैंने सुना, मैंने डिसाइड किया कि जो सुना उसी पे बात करूंगा. आई वॉज ऑल्सो स्टूडेंट. मैंने टाइम मांगा चेयरपर्सन से और हमने पूछा कि भाई हमारे यहाँ उल्लेख मिलता है कि हत्यारे अंगुलीमाल को टीचर्स ने बौद्ध भिक्षु के रूप में परिवर्तित कर दिया, लुटेरे वाल्मीकि को महर्षि वाल्मीकि बना दिया, फिर अनुशासनहीन प्रेम नारायण सिंह को अनुशासन प्रिय प्रेम नारायण सिंह, ये इतने अध्यापक बैठे हैं, क्यों नहीं बना पाए? हम अनुशासनहीन पैदा तो नहीं हुए थे. क्या यहां बैठे लोगों में से कोई ऐसा है जो ये टास्क एक्सेप्ट करे? एंड द टास्क वाज एक्सेप्टेड बाय वाइस चांसलर प्रोफेसर रामकरण शर्मा. और अगर हम यहां तक पहुंचे हैं तो उसमें उन टीचर्स का बहुत बड़ा रोल है. प्रोफेसर रामकरण शर्मा, अब तो उनका शरीर पूरा हो गया. प्रोफेसर मानिक चंद शुक्ल, वो हमारे बीच हैं. एक दूसरा एग्जाम्पल है सर. 1989 10 अप्रैल 89 को मैंने कॉलेज ऑफ एजुकेशन विजयवाड़ा में बतौर लेक्चरर ज्वाइन किया. 4-5 दिन के अंदर पता लगा कि 2 स्टूडेंट CH अविनाश और शेख अली बेग, टीचर से लेकर के स्टूडेंट तक कहते थे ये फेल हो जाएंगे. मैंने सोचा कि ये मेरा पहला महीना भी है, पहली जॉब है और ये मेरा पहला इम्तिहान है. मैंने उन लड़कों को अकेले में बुला के पूछा, वो लड़के भी मान लिए थे कि हम फेल हो जाएंगे. मैं रोज कॉलेज टाइम के बाद उनसे बात करता था और फिर मैंने कहा पेपर वाइज अपनी समस्या बताओ, हम क्या गाइड कर सकते हैं ये बताओ. और उसी दौरान हम उनको थोड़ा थोड़ा मोटिवेट करते जाते थे. 13 मई को मेरा टिकट था, गर्मी की छुट्टी हो गई. चलने के पहले मैंने उन दोनों को बुलाया और मैंने उनसे कहा कि सुनो, अगर तुम लोग चाहते हो कि मैं गर्मी की छुट्टी के बाद दोबारा यहाँ आऊँ तो उसकी एक शर्त है. तब तक परीक्षा हो गई रहेगी, रिजल्ट निकल गया रहेगा. अगर पास हो जाओगे तो मैं दोबारा आऊँगा, नहीं तो नहीं आऊँगा. और अगर चाहते हो कि मैं आऊँ तो पास होना पड़ेगा. ये 2 एग्जाम्पल हैं, एक टीचर के रूप में और एक एग्जाम्पल था आदरणीय प्रोफेसर रामकरण शर्मा के रूप में. यानी मेरा यह मानना है कि सरकार, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, ये सारी चीजें, इनका महत्व है, इनके महत्व को कोई इनकार नहीं कर सकता. लेकिन हमारे पर्सनल एफर्ट ये किसी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के मोहताज नहीं होते, किसी पॉलिसी के मोहताज नहीं होते, किसी परमिशन के मोहताज नहीं होते. और ये बहुत बड़ा फर्क डालते हैं. तो मुझे लगता है कि एज ए लीडर ऑफ इंस्टीट्यूशन एंड एज ए फैकल्टी मेंबर, both can play a vital role in shaping the future of our students. दूसरी बात, रैना साहब ने कहा था, रैना साहब आपकी बात रह गई, मैडम ने कहा था, मैं कह दूं मधुर मनोहर अति सुंदर, ये लगा था लेकिन रुक गया. हमने 2-3 संस्थाओं को, आज भी जो ये संस्थाएं काम करती हैं जिसमें BHU की चर्चा आई, स्वामी जी ने भी चर्चा किया, उसके बाद भी चर्चा आई, इसलिए उसको दोहराना नहीं चाहता मैं. लेकिन अगर उपाय की बात हो, अभी 23 तारीख को मैं गुजरात विद्यापीठ गया था. अगर पीपीटी चलती तो वहाँ के 2 फोटोज हमने लगाए हैं. सवेरे 7 बजे मैं उठ करके टहलने निकला तो सड़कें बिल्कुल साफ, इतनी साफ सुथरी सड़कें. तो मैंने वहाँ एक काम ड्यूटी पर जो सिक्योरिटी गार्ड था उससे पूछा, भैया इतनी सवेरे सफाई हो गई? उसने कहा साहब ये सारी सफाई लड़के करते हैं. मैंने सारे फोटोग्राफ्स लिए, अपने बच्चों को भेजा, अपने बच्चों को अपने इंस्टीट्यूट को भेज दिया. टहलते टहलते हम और कुलपति जी और हमारे एक फैकल्टी जा रहे थे, तो उन्होंने हम लोगों ने देखा कुछ बच्चे उधर पिछवाड़े की तरफ काम कर रहे थे। एमएससी माइक्रोबायोलॉजी कर रही लड़की सड़क पर झाड़ू भी लगा रही थी। टीचर अपना काम खुद करता है, अपने कमरे की सफाई करता है। तो मुझे लगता है कि सत्य साई इंस्टीट्यूट जिसमें हम लोग खड़े हैं, मैं तो कल आया पहली बार यहाँ, मुझे लगता है कि यहाँ आकर के हमारे जैसे लोगों को सीखना चाहिए कि हम अपनी संस्थाओं में अपने बच्चों के लिए, अपने फैकल्टी मेंबर्स के लिए वास्तव में संवेदनशीलता विकसित करने के लिए क्या कर सकते हैं। कोर्स की डिलीवरी हो जाएगी, जैसा अभी सर ने कहा कि मूक्स भी बहुत सारा हमारा बर्डन हल कर देगा, स्वयं कर देगा, बहुत सारी टेक्नोलॉजी आ गई है। लेकिन संवेदनशीलता के विकास के लिए तो फेस टू फेस जरूरी है मुलाकात। एक और बात मैं जरूर कहना चाहूँगा, इसमें एक और बात कही गई है कि चैलेंजेस क्या हैं, हाउ टू ओवरकम देम। और मुझे लगता है मैं बिल्कुल विषय की बात करते करते कहना चाहूँगा, हम जानते बहुत हैं, ये किसी की आलोचना नहीं है, हम सब उसमें शामिल हैं, लेकिन मानते उतना ही कम है। हम दूसरे से अपेक्षाएं बहुत करते हैं, यानी वी एक्सपेक्ट मोर टू अदर्स बट कंपैरेटिवली वी रिस्पेक्ट लेस टू अदर्स। सर फिर मूल्यों का विकास कैसे होगा? रिस्पेक्ट करना पड़ेगा तो रिस्पेक्ट मिलने लगेगा। और ऐसे तमाम गुरुकुल हैं, तमाम संस्थाएं हैं। हम केवल गुजरात विद्यापीठ की बात नहीं, हायर एजुकेशन की बात नहीं करें। मैं आचार्य देवव्रत जी द्वारा स्थापित एक कुरुक्षेत्र में गुरुकुल है, मैं एक मीटिंग में गया था, मुझे लगा कि यहाँ रहना चाहिए, तो मैं 10 दिन मैडम वहाँ रहा केवल देखने के लिए। मैंने देखा छोटे छोटे बच्चे चले आ रहे हैं, अगर आपकी उम्र 50 एंड अबव दिखती है तो बच्चे पैर छू के प्रणाम करते हैं, अगर थोड़े यंग दिखते हैं तो हाथ जोड़ के प्रणाम करते हैं। अभी तो हम टाटा बाय बाय पे आ गए हैं। ये सारी चीजें ऐसा नहीं है, शून्य बिल्कुल नहीं है। संस्थाएं बहुत सी अपना काम कर रही हैं, साइलेंटली कर रही हैं, संस्थाएं भी कर रही हैं, बहुत से लोग भी साइलेंटली अपना काम कर रहे हैं। इसलिए हमें अपनी कोशिश जारी रखनी होगी। और क्या इसमें हम कर सकते हैं, जैसे 2-3 मोटी मोटी बातें, क्योंकि हम सब जानते हैं कि जितना विकास हुआ है पिछले कुछ सालों में, कुछ दशकों में कह लीजिए, तकनीकी का, विज्ञान का, उतना कभी नहीं हुआ था। लेकिन तनाव यानी टेंशन, डिप्रेशन, असंवेदनशीलता उसी रफ्तार में ये भी बढ़ रही है। तो जो चैलेंज का पार्ट है इस सेशन का, कि इस तेजी से बढ़ते हुए युग में, विकसित होते हुए युग में, तकनीकी और विज्ञान के विकास के युग में आदमी का तनाव कैसे कम रखा जाए, उसकी संवेदनशीलता कैसे बढ़ाई जाए। और इसके लिए सर मैं अगर गलत हूं, मैंने बहुत पहले, आज के 10 साल पहले एक किसी पत्रिका में पढ़ा था, आईआईटी कानपुर के कुछ अलुमनाई ने एक स्टडी किया और उन्होंने इस बात पर स्टडी किया, जब वो आपस में बैठे, कि भाई हम दुनिया में सबसे अच्छे ब्रेन के मालिक हैं और फिर भी हम अपेक्षाकृत पीछे क्यों हैं। अब भाई विद्वानों के दिमाग में बात आ गई तो उन्होंने खोज निकाला और उन्होंने ये निर्णय लिया, निष्कर्ष निकाला कि हम रिस्क लेने में डरते हैं। तो अब बच्चे के अंदर रिस्क लेने की क्षमता कैसे बढ़ाई जाए, और उसका सबसे अच्छा तरीका है सहगामी क्रियाएं, खेल कूद, जिससे लड़का निर्णय लेना भी सीखता है और रिस्क लेना भी सीखता है। और इतना ही नहीं सीखता, ह्यूमैनिटीज के अन्य विषयों की तुलना में ह्यूमन वैल्यूज के विकास के लिए वो सहयोग करना सीखता है, वो अनुशासन का पालन करना सीखता है। तो एक तो उपाय यही है कि अधिक से अधिक, अभी हमारे बच्चों की जिंदगी क्या हो गई है, हम सभी पेरेंट्स भी हैं। सवेरे उठना, बच्चा तैयार हुआ, स्कूल गया, वहां से आया, कोचिंग में गया, उसकी अपनी लाइफ कहाँ है और उसकी अपनी स्वतंत्रता कहाँ है। मैं एक और बात सर, 1 मिनट समय लूंगा। विकास विद्यावनम पोरंकी, वहां मैं गया था, हमने देखा बच्चों को सीखने की पूरी फ्रीडम है। मैं केवल नाम बता देता हूं, आप गूगल कर लीजिएगा, विकास विद्यावनम पोरंकी विजयवाड़ा से 20 किलोमीटर दूर है। मैंने अपने एक स्टूडेंट को लगाया कि क्रिएटिविटी लेवल तुम चेक करो, मुझे लगता है कि अन्य बच्चों की तुलना में इस इंस्टीट्यूट के बच्चों का क्रिएटिविटी लेवल औरों की तुलना में बेहतर होगा। और ये हमारा जो आकलन था वो सही साबित हुआ। 1 नंबर पे विकास विद्यावनम पोरंकी के ही बच्चे थे, जहां मैंने उनके प्रिंसिपल से पूछा था कि ये इतनी छूट आप दे रखे हैं बच्चों को, आपका रिजल्ट क्या है। उन्होंने कहा लास्ट 10 ईयर्स 100% रिजल्ट विथ 100% फर्स्ट क्लास। जहां 5वीं तक कोई परीक्षा ही नहीं है, 6वीं से 10वीं तक 2 परीक्षाएं हैं केवल, 10वीं में 3 हो जाती है क्योंकि बोर्ड देना है। तो मेरे कहने का मतलब है कि बच्चे पर या स्टूडेंट पर पहले विश्वास करें, उसे स्वतंत्र करें, थोड़ी स्वतंत्रता दें कुछ सीखने का, और गलत करता है तो प्रेम से समझा करके दूर करने का। इसके बहुत सारे उपाय हैं, इसको मैं, समय की कमी है, एक और चीज कह के अपनी बात को विराम दूंगा मैं, और वो ये कि राणा साहब माफ करिए दोबारा कह रहा हूं, नथिंग नथिंग नहीं है। हमारी परवरिश फौजियों की गोद में हुई है, तो वहां हमारे नाना कहा करते थे कि नथिंग इज इम्पॉसिबल। वो कहते थे कि देख भाई हम फौजी हैं, इम्पॉसिबल कुछ नहीं है। और एक विद्वान थे प्रोफेसर के.पी. पांडे, शायद बहुतों ने नाम सुना होगा। वो अक्सर किसी की 2 लाइनें वो कोट करते थे, वो नहीं रहे तो मैं कोट कर देता हूं कि मुझे पतझड़ों की कहानियां न सुना सुना के उदास कर, नए मौसमों का पता बता, जो गुजर गया वो गुजर गया। सो फ्रेंड्स, ट्राई फॉर बेटर एंड होप फॉर द बेस्ट। थैंक यू ऑल।
I would like to begin by thanking Madhusudan Sai ji and the Satya Sai Institute University of Human Excellence for giving me this opportunity to share my views with this esteemed panel of the guests as well as the VCs of the university. As it was said in the morning sessions, you are the gurus of the gurus, so you are the teachers of the teachers, and you can actually make a lot of impact in the lives of people. And me speaking in front of this audience is really humbling me. This is probably one of the most important presentations I've ever made in my life. So I know I'm standing between now and end of the day, but I would just request your attention for a few more minutes, and I can present my views. There were many things that were taught about in the earlier sessions, that what is the way forward? How do we make our education system more humane? Or, what is the action plan? What is the solution going forward? We all recognize that the value education should be there, but what is the way forward? And what I hope is that, after this talk, maybe some pointers will be there which you can take back to your universities and also take back to our governments to do the action plan. So with that, I'll just start. I'll start with Dakshinamurti Stotram. I'll just say it in English. So basically, the first 3 verses of Dakshinamurti Stotram, it depicts a scenario that in perfect silence, there is a young teacher that imparts the knowledge of Brahman, which is supposed to be the highest knowledge of all knowledges. 2 elderly sages established in truth which are sitting around him. The greatest of teachers and embodiment of bliss, whose gestures bestow wisdom, always smiling, being absorbed in self, I worship him, Dakshinamurti. The next verse talks about sitting on the ground at the foot of a banyan tree, bestowing wisdom upon the sages before him, Guru of the three world, Lord Dakshinamurti, removing the suffering of birth and death, to him I bow. And the third verse talks about this scenario, which is really the crux which I take from this stotram, how amazing it is that at the foot of the banyan tree sits a young guru and elderly disciples. We do have adult education, so it's okay. But the next sentence is really remarkable. In perfect silence, the guru removes the doubt of disciples. So I repeat, in perfect silence, the guru removes the doubts of the disciples. And I'm sure many people would have, gone through this stotram, but have you ever wondered what this means? What is that actually true? Can this really happen? So the session is about institutionalizing human education or values education. I see it as synonyms in some sense. I think it will have two, frameworks that are required to institutionalize this values education. One is an academic framework and the other is an institutional framework. And both these frameworks are extremely important. I'll talk about both of them in a little more detail in the subsequent slides. But yeah, for the academic framework, this Dakshinamurti Stotram actually holds the clue. And why does it hold the clue? If we look at this line, in perfect silence, the guru removes the doubt of the disciples. Manam Vyakhyanam. He's explaining. The teacher is explaining, but he's silent. And a teacher can explain by being silent, but if the disciples' doubts are not removed, then it's of no use. The next phrase, Chin Shishya, the doubts of the disciples have disappeared. Now, if we really think about this stotram, it really looks absurd to me. It really looks insane if the first sight of it. It's as absurd as, if we are sitting back in the 15th century or 14th century without this technology, and somebody was to tell, and before Galileo's time, if somebody was to tell us that no, it's the earth that goes around the sun, it's not the sun that goes around the earth, that looks absurd in that time. And this statement is as absurd as that today. But the question I'm raising, is this statement really true? Can it really happen or not? And the answer is, in our own backyard, not too far from him, Tiruvannamalai, Ramana Maharshi, who was there 1879 to 1950, there is a devotee asking the question to Bhagwan. Also he's called Bhagwan by many people. Why don't you go about preaching truth to people all over the world? And he answers, does preaching consist in mounting platforms and haranguing people around? Preaching is simple communication of knowledge, and it can be done in silence only. So, what does he mean by that, Does that make sense or not? So, here is another anecdote, a disciple who has sort of written about his experience in presence of Ramana Maharshi. And he says, during those sacred hours with the Master, I unconsciously absorbed the truth, which he embodies. It filled all my being. My love blossomed into deep devotion. I was filled with ineffable peace. The thing that seemed to be so vital before lost all importance. I could see things in their correct perspective. Heartaches of yesterday, thoughts of tomorrow faded into oblivion. Anxiety went away, happiness, peace, all those things came. And this is not just one-off incidents. In fact, his most potent teaching was in silence. And you can read about a lot of literature about him and also experiences of people about him. And there are so many testimonies out there which are saying the same thing, that he taught in silence. Many people with their agitated minds would come to him, sit with him, and he would not say anything, he would not utter a word, he would not even gesture anything through the body language. And yet, those people would get all their questions answered. Now, if you read this literature, if you go through it, the conclusion that I drew from it is yes, indeed, teaching in silence is possible. To show the existence of pink rabbit, for instance, I don't need to show every rabbit is pink, I just need to spot one. And this one is only in the recent history. We cannot say that it's a propaganda or anything. It's a truth, it's a fact, it's staring us in our eyes. But how does it work, Have you ever wondered about this? We are all engineers, we are all, philosophers, academicians and all. In our own backyard, there's this phenomena happening that a devotee is coming to a master and without any communication, without any verbal or any gestural communication, the knowledge is getting transmitted. Does it mean that we have to come up with new physics? Do we have to create new laws of physics? Or do we draw the conclusion that the two minds which are out there, they have some kind of quantum entanglement happening? And even if we say that something like this is happening, what are the implications in terms of biology? What are the implications in terms of neuroscience? What are the implications in terms of health, medicine, philosophy of this phenomena? Right? Now, most striking to me is, since 1950s, India became independent. And there's no research on this phenomena. Nobody has even curiously looked at this phenomena and said, okay, let me try to find out what this thing is. Let me do a research on this. This is a pedagogical method of teaching values, for example. But no research has happened on this. Nobody is exploring this in detail. Well, one of the reasons we can say Maharishi Ramana just stayed in Tiruvannamalai, he didn't go to the West and preach about it, so people probably don't know about him in the West. But a more important and more fundamental reason is that the Western academic frameworks cannot do a research on this topic because they are limited. And because of what I call Descartes' error, I'll talk about it in a little more detail. But let's forget the Western point of view. Let's come up with the Indian education systems. Why did we not do research on this? Why did we not bring this into the footlight? Why did we not explore this phenomenon in more detail? And the answer is, we are still trapped in the Western education framework despite having our own very rich heritage and very deep heritage of knowledge. So, what is Descartes' error? He said, he's a very famous mathematician, a very famous philosopher. He had a lot of impact during the Enlightenment period, and he shaped, his thoughts actually shaped a lot of research that came out of this. And he made this comment, I think, therefore I am. It's a very famous comment, but that's how far he could go. And what he also said, as the mind is one thing which is non-physical, it is kind of vague, I can just think, I can see those things, but I can't go beyond that. But matter or the body is something I can study. I can actually open it up, examine it under the microscope, and I can study it in a rational way. And that led to a rational, evidence-based science. And it has a very deep impact. He also had, fights with the church and also, I'm not going into all of that. But because of whatever reasons, the modern science got trapped into, this materialistic paradigm of research, that all life is matter. Because even today when I talk to a neuroscientist, the question they're going to ask me is how do these neurons or how does this matter out there give rise to consciousness? Now if you look at this question, how does this neurons give rise to consciousness? It comes with an axiom. And the axiom is that the matter gave rise to consciousness. So this question is not answerable in paradigm other than, if we actually think of consciousness as something different. Now if you relegate everything as a matter, there's no way you can teach humane education, there's no way you can teach value education because everything is a matter, it has a utility that you have to make use of, and that's the end of it. So these paradigms are completely, totally unfit to provide any system for value education. We just have to discard them, throw them out of the window. What did Ramana Maharshi say? He said, okay, you think, therefore you are, so you think you are the thinker, but you can see the thoughts. So you must be different from the thoughts. So there must be thinker apart from the thoughts. Why don't you go and find that out? And if you continue this exercise, deeper and deeper, he came to this conclusion that the consciousness is the only reality. And now that's an axiomatic conclusion, and the second thing he says is the world is a projection of the mind. And this leads to this conclusion that me and the world are not different at all. Because if the world is a projection of my own mind, then they are not different. Whatever happens in the world will actually eventually impact me inside. And therefore, it can lead to compassion, it can lead to human education, it can lead to values. So we need to have a very fundamental paradigm shift, and that paradigm shift is not difficult to do. So here is the picture of Western academic framework. When we talk about advancement of knowledge, we look at objective observations, we run experiments, we make theories, we run experiments to refute the theories. If the theories are refuted, we go back, come up with new theories. If the theories are not refuted, we say that this theory has stood the test of the time, and they become the valid theories of today. So that's the Western academic framework. Now, if we plug in Maharishi Ramana's teaching and his life in this framework, what he said was try to find out who you are and do that inquiry subjectively. And what he said was such an inquiry leads to silence of the mind, which leads to peace of the mind, which eventually leads to samadhi, and samadhi leads to knowledge. And that's the knowledge he preached, that's the knowledge he taught. Now, if we take this to Descartes, he'll say, okay, this is a subjective experience, it cannot be verified, it cannot be tested, so I'm going to throw this out of the window. And this is what we have done as academicians in the country even after 75 years of independence. We don't teach Maharishi Ramana in universities, we don't teach similar philosophers or those thinkers, due respect that cannot be given. And this is the fundamental mistake that we've made. What's the consequence of this? Indian knowledge traditions are highly subjective. All the knowledge was discovered in Samadhi. And many sages actually get into that. And they preached it to people, they imparted that knowledge to people, and people benefited them. And they also sat next to them and they learned on all of this. But if we plug this in the Western framework of knowledge, this is not a valid knowledge, this is a superstition. And it's not valid, therefore it cannot be taught in universities. And therefore, we have not given it the due place that it deserves in the universities. Even the humanities departments are supposed to do this. In my limited view, I'm not really too much into humanities, but whatever little I know about it, they are mostly cut-paste humanities from the Western traditions. So they don't really look at, we have such a rich heritage, Kabir, Guru Nanak, Meera, Tulsidas, Lal Ded, Vivekananda, Aurobindo, Rabindranath Maharshi, so many. Most of them went into Samadhi. And they came up with some truths. And these truths are not inconsistent with each other, they are consistent. So, if that is the case, why are we not taking this knowledge and putting that in the system? So, my proposal, my request to you is to just make a very little change here. In the objective observations, if we also add subjective observations, and then do the rest of the thing exactly as it is done in the Western sciences, that will solve the problem. And how will it solve the problem? Because, and the field to do that, how it will solve the problem? Because all the subjective experience of the great masters would also come into the realm of science, will also come into the realm of a valid knowledge. And, a new field which will emerge, and I was thinking about what's a suitable name for this field, and most suitable name that appears to me is the field of Adhyatma. And it is made of two words, Adhyan and Atma, which is basically subjectively studying the phenomena of the consciousness, phenomena of the mind. Who am I? So, what do? Once we recognize that Samadhi is an actual, valid way of generating knowledge, we can open departments of Adhyatma in the universities. You can also call it Indian knowledge system, but that word is a bit ambiguous because it's not very accurate. Adhyatma is a more accurate word which is describing this and which can also anchor the departments, because what is Indian knowledge is sort of a bit vague, but Adhyatma actually pinpoints it. It is a subjective exploration of consciousness and the phenomena arising in the conscious mind. And the most important part here is not only, debates and all, but is experimental validation, experiment and practice. They are the most important aspects. So, if somebody has reported some experience in Samadhi and another person tries to replicate that, he goes into Samadhi and says, no, my experience is somewhat different, then it has to be brought into light and this has to be discussed further. But we cannot discard it as saying that it's a subjective experience, so we are not going to look at it, we are not going to call it a valid branch of knowledge. That is the thing that we have to discard. And yoga is an enabling technology to do exactly that. And today yoga has been recognized in the world, in the United Nations, and also there's a meditation that has gotten recognition there. But so far, it has not got into academia. It is like a method to be well, to be happy, and those kinds of things. But now it's the time it has to be, recognized as a formal academic discipline. And what I would say is Indian educators must take the bold step to outgrow the self-imposed limitation of imitation of the West. And once we do that, I think a lot of things will open up, a lot of things, can happen. But why will this lead to value education? And this is something we can talk, I can talk about an hour for this. There's a field of yogic epistemology that we can talk about. But just to get into very brief, the theory of yoga actually says, the second verse in the Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, says Yog Chitta Vritti Nirodh, which basically means that, yoga, the objective of the yoga is to remove all the vrittis in the chitta. I've put that pictorially here, that there is a real I or self inside, and then, we don't get to see him as it is because of these chitta vrittis that are like greed, anger, jealousy, all these things that have come up. And once those vrittis are removed by systematic practice or different types of practice, it need not be one kind of practice. Some practices may be suitable for some people, some other practices may be suitable for some other people. But once you are able to remove all these obstructions, then the real, as they call it, drashtuhu in the Yoga Sutras, that emerges. And that is peace, that is harmony, that gives you value, that gives you knowledge. And so values is not something that has to be imparted. But we just have to take the things that obstruct these values and then it will just shine on itself. That is what theory of yoga says. So for the students also, everybody, this famous shloka, Purnamidam, Purnamidam, it basically says all of us, each human being carries that spark of divine within us, which is all knowledgeable, all compassionate, it has all the values that we desire for. All that has to be done, it is being covered by these chitta vrittis, and that if you develop systematic methods to help people remove it, then the knowledge, the values will just shine forth. So what are the implications of this? If I'm able to convince even some of those people, Adhyatma becomes a valid branch of knowledge. The knowledge gained in Samadhi becomes a valid experience. But of course, we have to trust but verify. So, repetition, replication is important. But it will open our academia to a whole new branch of knowledge. In fact, it provides a very strong foundation for the Indian knowledge system. Right now, we are struggling what it means by Indian knowledge system and all. So, and also it mainstreams various, philosophies, and practice and experimentation is very important in the spirit of science. So I'm short on time, so I'll just skip a few slides. But basically, I want to say that at National Resource Center at Value Education and Engineering, we have been doing these experiments. And there's an eminent committee that, that this talk is inspired by their recommendations as well. And they suggest that based on this, there are these areas that have, that one can develop further to do value education. These are inner development, holistic health and wellness, harmony through music and art, leadership and sustainability, value education and technology. And these are some of the sample courses that we have been teaching at the center. And I'll just quickly go through. Course feedback has been excellent. Students, one particular feedback I would like to read, it was full of logical explanation. The course was full of logical explanations for things which I considered superstition before attending this course. And students love meditation. So it's not as if students don't want to do. Not every student would want to do, but there are many, many students who actually love this. And those are the students we have to tap through this approach. So this is essentially the academic framework I propose for value education. Adhyatma as a core academic discipline. It is nowhere in the world. Only India can do this, and India can be the leader in this. There will be no peer-reviewed journals where you can publish and get your points. So we have to actually figure out a system of research and teaching. We call it but practice and implementation is practice and experimentation is most fundamental. It is not about scholarly discussion about this theory, Dvait versus Advait, all that is completely useless. So, I take just one verse, Yog Chitta Vritti Nirodh, unless I have actually experienced that, it's useless. So my practice is actually going into that. And once I have experienced that, then I can go to the next level and look at the other slokas. So practice is a very important component of this. It does not make the same error as Descartes made, which is ignoring the subjective observations in mind and consciousness. But maybe India at some stage we made that error of ignoring the practice and experimentation. So it does not even make that. And now, can I just take a few minutes to kind of...
Close by 5:20.
Okay. I see. I'll just take 5 minutes to just sort of, just very quickly go through this, if you allow me.
No, 5:50 is the time, but 5:20 we have to
I see. Okay, so I'll stop here. And yeah, then yeah, PPT will be sharing. That's fine. That's okay. So yeah, so we'll stop here then. Okay, let me just quickly go through this. Is that I'll just take 2 minutes and then we can just sort of. So this is the conclusion of the first part of the talk, which is talking about the academic framework. Now, how do you implement this framework? Now, if we implement this framework in the regular university setup, there would be a lot of, we have been trying to do that, there will be a lot of resistance because not every faculty is actually trained in this method and they may not understand. So we also need an institutional setup. And so talk about how do we scale this up in a very quick manner, then we also need to do some institutional work, and that is what, I'll just quickly go over it. I'll just take the liberty of time. So basically, Vyasa stands for Vigyan, Yoga, Adhyatma, Samaj, and Swasth. So basically, integration of the knowledge across, all the 5, this thing. And this setup would be established through an act of parliament, similar to the way IITs and IIMs have been established. This could be a national and international importance. The whole idea is to take the best of the East and the West, and it talks about the integrated holistic education. And it is self-sustainable without any fees, at the same time giving autonomy and independence to the bureaucracy. So basically, it talks about the system to set up. I'll skip this. New institutions can be set up, existing institution can go on. This is the most important slide, the cost versus the value. No fees to be charged to the students, but after they go back, after they get graduated, they are supposed to, they are incentivized to pay back a part of their income, which the government matches through their tax incomes. So essentially, the success of a university depends on these 2 pillars. One is the future alumni income, which is dependent on the skills imparted, and other is the voluntary sense of alumni giving back, which is a function of the values. If we do that, then I think these universities can be sustainable and they can be, very quickly sped up if we can convince people in the government to do that. And yeah, so I'll just stop here. Essentially, this setup, this framework gives you the best of the East. It gives free education to all, best of socialism, and it also gives you best of capitalism because it gives you free entry, free exit, low entry barriers, and also financial accountability. And therefore, the whole, what we saw in 1991 happening for the Indian industry, if we enable this, that will happen for the Indian academia. And India can become the teacher of the world in a very short time if we do that. So that's how I'll stop. Thank you.
Any questions, I think, probably.
Hello. So this question is to the chairman, AICT, sir. Sir, you spoke about the enhancement of gross education ratio from 29% to 50% in the next remaining 5 years of SDG. So it is spoken everywhere at various platforms. And the technology is a boon today because we cannot build 1,200 universities in the remaining part of 5 years and scale it up. Now, I'm being basically teaching in machine learning, product of IISc. So having taught these courses and deeply looking into the way that the current technology is spreading in the higher education space, the large language models, in which most of us basically are familiar, are basically making inroads into the higher education landscape. And I looked into the American education, engineering education journals, keep updating myself, that a lot of changes are happening in the United States, and a lot of chaos and confusions are happening because several models are available, like ChatGPT by the OpenAI, and Gemini by Google, Copilot by Microsoft, and all, including DeepSeek. So each of these models, according to the way that they are designed, they are capable of acquiring new knowledge with every user input, means they keep updating. And I also understand that several startups are working on generating the courses like control systems or digital signal, any other course through this ChatGPT, such that they acquire the complete capability and expertise beyond the best professors available today. And with these kind of models are being developed here. Question number one is, what is the fate of the existing faculty members who are our age across different institutions? Number one. Number two, these products are already percolated into the systems for teaching, learning, and decision making in various universities, especially in the higher education and also lower education. And the complete vision of NEP, one of the main factors is that to create, to inculcate critical thinking. That's one of the main objectives of NEP 2020, for which we have been working since last 4 years. Now this component, the large language models and the careless use applications of these generative models across everyone will really have a counter effect on creating creative thinking, because everyone freely uses without understanding what it is. And the assignments and the teaching, everything is basically based on these models today, and people are submitting. Then what are the policies that actually the government of India would want to really place in order to have a check and balance, so that these models and generative AI is appropriately utilized for creating new generation manpower? This is second question. Third question is that in future, in next 2-3 years down the line, if these machines are also become perfect in emotional intelligence and sentiment analysis, maybe they must be able to give more compassion than the current topic that we are thinking. How do we address these two? Thank you.
Professor, I think you raised a very pertinent question. I think we are not really, many of us are not thinking about the disruption AI is going to bring about. First, let me talk about teachers' education, what we are doing. I know the scale of the problem is very large. In technical education, we have 6.5 lakh teachers, 6.5 lakh teachers. So AICT has created an Atal Teaching and Learning Academy. Atal, we have trained 300,000 students in these emerging areas through 1 week, 2 week, blended, online courses. Those who have gone through, all of them will appreciate that. Okay? But this is a problem which cannot be solved so easily, and we need to accept role of teachers are changing. The teacher's role will definitely becoming lesser and lesser. Teacher will be a advisor or a guide, philosopher, because his knowledge is lesser than a young student with a ChatGPT. This is the major issue. I'm not just talking about ChatGPT. There are so many models today. AI, friends, please note this. This is not about large language models alone. Large quantitative models have come, LQMs have come, so many minor specialized courses. For example, even if you put all your data, you don't need an internet also. There are models where it will actually do a phenomenal job. For example, imagine your own CV, you wanted to send it to Padma Shri. Okay? You ask in the local pool network, it writes better than any of you. Even you go to an expert also, it writes better than you. You can tweak it, understand it, better it. I'm just giving you a simple example. Okay? It's a mundane, at a ground level example to you. But coming back to the assignment, teaching should change. Without, see, all these old way of giving, he will simply submit you a ChatGPT assignment. See, even we are thinking that JEE Advanced also has to change, because now ChatGPT will crack better than our students. Okay. See, Einstein's IQ we have touched using these machines. Imagine, please, it's not very simple. We have to be very serious, particularly the vice chancellors, educators have to look how to integrate this. To do this, AICT constituted a very high-level committee with Anand Deshpande as the persistent system CMD, cross-cutting top professors of the country in every discipline, how to integrate AI, generative AI. Not only that, sir, we have to go advanced. Agentic AI. You are a computer science person, I'm not. But you have to read my book. To understand what is happening, I have written a book called Road Ahead 2.0. Please, Google it. It is available in Amazon. The Road Ahead 2.0. Some of you did not know Road Ahead was written by Bill Gates in 95 when WW World Wide Web came and old emails, Hotmail and Yahoo Mail came. Not even Gmail. Okay, Gmail all 2000 and above. So what we have done is there in that first part of it, how the education system will change. It is actually 750 pages volume, 18 or 19 chapters we have written, 20 chapters we have written. First chapter talks about educational systems, how to integrate AI, and what will be the changes is going to happen, how agentic AI is going to rule. See, please remember, in your voice, your lecture on AI will be prepared in 5 minutes when you take 2 days or 3 days to prepare that lecture. This is mind-boggling. And that lecture will be much better than, far superior than expert who is an IISc graduate. So this is the reality. We need to understand that. And then coming to, generative AI and agentic AI is mind-boggling what is happening. It is not just in America. Please note this, why American companies are looking at India is, I'll just tell you one story, sir, and then close it. When I was a director at IIT, a philanthropist came to me from Texas. Okay, Mehta. Some of you know, because he has also started school in Mehta School in IIT Chennai. And then he has also started a school in IIT Kanpur. He also came to me in 2021. He said, I wanted to start a school of data science and artificial intelligence. And he gave me a beautiful presentation why data science is much important than computer science. Okay? And how different it is. It is not just 80% what the way we teach computer science, only remove the architecture part and add some data science part. So he made a beautiful presentation. I was convinced. But my colleagues at computer science were not convinced. They said, sir, how do I offer a second BTech? Because his condition is, you should start a BTech program in data science and AI through JEE Advanced. Luckily, I was the coordinator for JEE Advanced that time as a director of IIT. I accepted the challenge and I left computer science department because they are not ready to do this. I used my computer center, which was not used by anybody now, and created a school of data science and artificial intelligence running very well. But that's not the story. Story is I came to AICTE. I asked my officers the day one I joined, how many colleges are offering the data science and AI? To my surprise, 1,200 colleges started in 2017 with a fantastic curriculum, okay? Either variations of AI, data science, or computer science, okay? In bracket, some of them used to put computer science in bracket, data science and AI. Some of them data science alone. Some of them data science and AI where they had a freedom, private universities, okay? 1,200, that means they had, by 2021, they had graduated, even simple math will tell you, 1.5 lakh students have graduated by 21, and then another 4 years now, by more than 7 lakh students have a phenomenal knowledge on AI. Why? Because please don't ridicule them. Okay, it is all, we also learned the same way, rote learning in our, but we have also excelled up to this. So given an opportunity, they will be top of the world. That is what has happened. You know who is the advisor to Trump on AI? It is the one of the student of second grade college from SRM is the advisor to Trump on AI. So this is kind of changes are happening. So with this, I will stop this. Thank you very much, sir.
I think we are going to close the session because Sadhguru is coming shortly. Because they wanted me to close because, yeah.
Yeah, we are already doing extensive innovation programs. School innovation cells have been created. More than, right now I can not give you exact number, more than 1.5 lakh school innovation councils have been created. And all 14,000 AICT institutions have Institute Innovation Councils, emphasis on innovation, Smart India Hackathon is being conducted, product development, idea labs are only for that, ma'am. Lot of initiatives we have taken on innovation. Through this, 7,000 startups have come, not just small. And 35,000 patents have been filed by our college students, not IITs, engineering college students.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
The session has not only highlighted the urgency and relevance of human education, but also offered an actionable pathway for interesting and integrating the thing. Yeah. So we now invite Professor Hanumantrao Naidu, sir, Registrar Administration, Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence. Sorry. Professor T.G. Sitaraman, sir. We come to the conclusion of the session. Now we'll have short break. High tea time is being arranged in the Rudra Mandiram grounds, after which we request everyone to reconvene by 6 p.m. for a cultural presentation by the students of performing arts from Sri Sathya Sai University for Human Excellence.